Hello everybody, I am your local newscaster, Wand Wanderson, here today, bringing you all the latest and greatest tech news before everyone else. And remember, don't forget to like, comment, favorite, and subscribe before leaving. Anyways, let's get into today's video. I'm gonna stray away from the normal content I produce and make a video on what I believe are the top 5 most innovative things that have happened to gaming. Now these are in no particular order, but I do believe without these things, gaming wouldn't be as enjoyable as it is today. Excuse me. So, first up is the Atari 2600. The Atari 2600 was an amazing system that came out in around 1981, and it was one of the first successful home consoles. Now, people do blame this for the video game crash of 1983, but honestly, the Atari 2600 gave Nintendo hope of reviving the video game market here in America. So, really, without the Atari 2600, we wouldn't have my favorite console, the Super Nintendo. Because if there wasn't an NES, there wouldn't be an SNES. So, really, even though it did have some pretty bad games, and most of the games on it didn't even really make that much sense, it was still a very fun console. And it proved that you didn't need to have a story to make a game fun, as a lot of the games on the Atari 2600 were very fun. Number 4 is the first graphic card. Now, I don't know too much about the first graphic card, but I can say that without graphic cards, the footage you're seeing right now wouldn't look nearly as good. And I'm not saying I wouldn't have the power to record it. I'd probably still have that. But what I'm saying is, I wouldn't have the power to render it. It would probably not look much better than the PlayStation 3 capabilities, if even that. So, just take that for what it is. Take that at full face value. But, in my particular system, I have a GTX 970. And I'm able to max out a ton of games. As a matter of fact, the only games I have right now that can beat my graphic card are GTA 5 and Rise of the Tomb Raider. So, okay. I guess that's unique in some way. But still, without the graphic card, technology would not be as good, because a graphic card was designed to handle very long tasks. Very long similar tasks. While the CPU is designed to handle shorter tasks, but constantly be switching between them. And I really enjoy how there's a lot of video editing software. Like, they're not just for gaming. There's video editing software that takes advantage of NVIDIA's QUDA cores, or CUDA cores. I call them QUDA for whatever reason. I guess I'm just weird like that. But, really, anything that doesn't require the graphic card to constantly switch between operations, it will be good at. So, something like running an operating system, something like running an operating system off a graphic card, it probably wouldn't excel in the same way that a processor does. Or a CPU, I should say. They're both technically processors. So the introduction of the graphic card was a huge thing for technology. And games that look beautiful like The Witcher 3 or Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain, both those games look beautiful. And they would just not be possible on older hardware. Because again, as I said previously, without the GPU, we may have something that looks probably not much better than the PlayStation 3, if even that. Another thing that I believe at number 2 is Steam. If you are a gamer, if you consider yourself a gamer, a hardcore gamer, and you don't have Steam, you're not a hardcore gamer. Steam has amazing sales, like sometimes like 90% off. I got the Eidos Anthology for like $30, and that's normally $200 on Steam. And without Steam, I feel that me personally, I probably wouldn't have gotten into PC gaming. I'd probably have a console, because Steam makes finding and getting games that much easier. Now there are competitors to Steam like Origin or Uplay, but none of those are really as popular and widely used as Steam is. And I love Steam, I really do. I love the sales they have, although their customer support could do something, but back last year, Steam made paid mods almost a year ago, about now. I think they did this in around June, I'm pretty sure. June or July. I'm not 100 if it was even those 2 months, but I'm pretty sure it was one of those two. And it did horribly. Steam got greedy. They were taking a huge cut of the sales on these paid mods, and they took it down pretty quickly and issued a formal apology. Now, I believe this was on... I believe they were testing the waters with some Bethesda games at first. So, Skyrim, basically. I'm pretty sure that was one of the only Steam games that supported mods from Bethesda at the time. So without Steam, or Lord Gaben, even, I mean, you can't talk about Steam and how good Steam is without bringing up Gaben. So, really, without Steam, I'm lost for words here. There's so many good things to say about Steam that are just running through my head that I forget what I'm going to say before I say it. Or in the middle of saying it. So, just Steam is amazing. I love the sales. I love how easy it is to navigate most of the time. Like, some of the settings, well, I understand settings kind of being harder to navigate. But, I love that, because this is a problem that I had on Uplay, because I have Watch Dogs on Uplay. That's the only game I have on Uplay, and it's the only game I plan on having on Uplay. And if there's a way that I can migrate Watch Dogs over to Steam, other than just adding a shortcut to Steam, I would do that in a heartbeat. I wouldn't care. As long as I don't have to buy the game again. I wouldn't really care. So, anyways. Without Steam, the gaming industry probably wouldn't be as easy to find PC games, and console gaming would pretty much take over. And PCs would probably just be used for work and game development, more than likely. Which, I understand consoles. There's people who aren't good with PC hardware and PCs in general, and they want to play some games. So a console, they just have to go out, they have an Xbox One or a PS4, they buy the game for their respective console, and done. They pop the game in, maybe install an update, and then they're done. They don't have to do anymore. And at number... If I said number 2 before talking about Steam, I meant number 3. So now we have at number 2, multi-core CPUs. I know you're all scratching your heads at this, but hear me out. Say you have a choice between 2 CPUs. Now I'm going to intentionally use older hardware to kind of get my point across. You have a single core, single thread, 2 gigahertz CPU, or a dual core, single thread on like just 2 cores at 1 gigahertz each core. So a total of 2 gigahertz. I would pick the dual core one, not just because I think dual core sounds cool or anything like that, because having a dual core CPU means you have ultimately 2 CPUs in your system. Personally, I have a quad core in my system right now, and it does very good for gaming and very good for pretty much anything else that I want it to do. It may also help that it's a Skylake, but whatever. Which I've kind of been hearing a lot of negative things about Skylake recently. I'm not exactly sure why. There just seems to be a lot of people ragging on Skylake. I don't know why. But this CPU, it's a quad core. It would do better than a dual core with double the clock speeds, because each core is doing something different. And that's why having a dual core is better. They are each doing something different, while a single core has to constantly switch between what both the cores would separately be doing. So that one core is then bearing the weight of 2 cores if you had a dual core system. And that's why a dual core does things a lot better. So since I think the PlayStation 4 has a 8-core CPU, I'm not 100 on that, so we're not going to use that. It was stupid to bring that up. But my system, as I said, has a quad-core CPU. So when I'm gaming, it may have the CPU handle rendering with 1 core, lighting with another, and then the other 2 are just absent. Or it may split lighting between 2 cores. I don't know if that's really possible, but... And then split physics between 2 cores, or may split physics between all 4 cores, since I'm pretty sure lighting is handled by the graphic card. So that is why multi-core CPUs have really helped the gaming scene on PC, and really anything, actually. Because a graphic card can't really... A graphic card can't really do physics very well, because I said this before, a graphic card is good for long, similar tasks, like rendering, and a CPU is good for switching between tasks really fast. And so, physics isn't really similar, per se. So... yeah, switching between tasks is better for physics. And last, but certainly not least, the beginning of the 3D games, the N64. Another console. Yes, another console. The N64 was revolutionary because it was the first... excuse me. It was the first 3D console by Nintendo, and first really massively successful 3D console, as it wasn't the first 3D console. The Sega Saturn came out a little bit before the N64 and did very poorly. Ouch. So, honestly, the N64, it showed and a ton of Nintendo's great games on there, like Super Mario 64, Ocarina of Time, Super Smash Bros., Majora's Mask. All those games really paved the way for what 3D gaming would be. And it showed that not every game had to be fully 3D. For example, Super Smash Bros. It showed that 2D fighters were still in style. The success of Super Smash Bros. Showed that. And is possibly the reason why we still have games like Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter. Why we're still why we're still seeing installments in those franchises even today. As within the past 2 years, we've seen new Street Fighters and new Mortal Kombat games. So, honestly, they're doing some good. They really are. And I love it. He's good. He's doing really good. I don't even know what I'm doing anymore. So, anyways, that's all I got for this video. I hope maybe I'll see you later. Maybe I won't. I probably won't. You're probably never going to come back. I don't care. Bye-bye.